At 2:14 a.m., the night sky over Israel exploded into streaks of fire. Missiles were heading straight for one of the most critical energy facilities in the region, the Haifa Oil Refinery. Within minutes, alarms spread across Tel Aviv. But this attack isn't just about war. It's about oil, global markets, and a shockwave that could reach every gas station on Earth. Because when missiles hit energy infrastructure in the Middle East, the global economy feels it. Because when missiles strike an oil refinery in the Middle East, the shock waves do not stop at the border. They travel through oil markets, shipping lanes, gas stations, and eventually into your wallet. Today we break down exactly what happened, why Iran would target one of Israel's most important energy hubs, and why analysts are warning that this could trigger the most dangerous economic domino effect in years. Because after tonight, the message may be clear: nobody is safe anymore. According to early reports, multiple missiles were launched toward northern Israel, with several targeting strategic infrastructure near the city of Haifa. Haifa is not just another coastal city. It is home to Israel's largest oil refinery complex, a facility responsible for processing a significant portion of the country's fuel supply. The refinery plays a crucial role in producing gasoline, diesel, aviation fuel, petrochemicals used across the Israeli economy. Any disruption here immediately raises concerns about energy security inside Israel. But the missiles did not stop there. Air defense systems were activated across the country as alerts spread toward Tel Aviv, Israel's economic and financial center. For millions of people, the attack marked a terrifying escalation. However, the military dimension is only one part of the story. Because when energy infrastructure becomes a target, the consequences extend far beyond national borders. To understand why the Haifa Refinery may have been targeted, we need to look at how modern warfare has changed. In the past, conflicts focused on military bases and troop movements. But today, the real battlefield often lies in economic infrastructure. Oil refineries are among the most sensitive targets in any country's energy system. Why? Because a refinery is not just a storage facility. It is where crude oil becomes usable fuel. Without refineries, oil sitting in tanks is useless. And the Haifa refinery is particularly important because it supports Israel's domestic fuel production and supplies key sectors of the economy. A successful strike could potentially create fuel shortages, increase transportation costs, and disrupt industries that rely on refined petroleum products. But the strategic implications go even further. Energy infrastructure attacks send signals to global markets. And global markets react instantly. Whenever conflict threatens energy infrastructure in the Middle East, traders around the world begin asking the same question: could oil supply be disrupted? The Middle East produces roughly 1/3 of the world's oil, and the region sits at the center of global energy trade. When missiles fly near oil infrastructure, markets immediately price in risk. That risk is called a geopolitical premium. It's essentially an insurance cost built into oil prices, because traders fear supply disruptions. Even the possibility of escalation can cause prices to jump. Why? Because modern economies depend heavily on a stable energy supply. If traders believe oil production, refining, or transportation could be disrupted, they start buying oil futures aggressively. And when buying pressure rises, prices climb. That means the consequences of a single missile strike can ripple through the global energy market within hours. But the most dangerous scenario is not the refinery attack itself. It's what could happen next. Just a few hundred miles away lies one of the most critical choke points in global energy trade: the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway connects the Persian Gulf to the rest of the world, and every day roughly 20% of global oil supply passes through it. If tensions escalate further, analysts worry about a nightmare scenario: shipping disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz. Even temporary instability in this corridor could cause oil prices to skyrocket, because there are very few alternative routes for the massive flow of crude oil leaving the Gulf. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the UAE rely heavily on this passage to export energy to global markets. If tankers stop moving, the entire supply chain could feel the shock. While the conflict is unfolding in the Middle East, Europe is watching with growing concern. In recent years, Europe has already faced major energy disruptions due to geopolitical tensions. Energy supply security has become one of the continent's biggest economic priorities. If Middle Eastern energy routes become unstable, European countries may face renewed pressure in their energy markets. Why? Because global oil and gas markets are deeply interconnected. If oil prices surge due to conflict risk, transportation costs rise worldwide. Higher oil prices also increase production costs for industries. And when energy costs rise, inflation often follows. That means the ripple effects could reach far beyond the Middle East. For most people watching this video, missiles and refineries may feel distant, but the economic consequences could arrive much closer to home, because energy prices affect nearly every part of daily life. When oil prices rise, transportation costs increase. When transportation costs increase, the price of goods rises. That includes food, clothing, electronics, and household essentials. Fuel prices at gas stations can also rise quickly if oil markets react strongly. In many economies, energy costs are one of the biggest drivers of inflation. So even events happening thousands of miles away can eventually impact the cost of living. Geopolitical crises rarely stay isolated. They trigger domino effects. One event leads to another. A strike on infrastructure leads to market panic. Market panic leads to price spikes. Price spikes lead to inflation. Inflation leads to economic pressure. And economic pressure can ripple across entire continents. This is why analysts watch energy infrastructure attacks so closely. Because the modern global economy runs on a delicate balance of supply chains, trade routes, and market confidence. And when that balance is disturbed, the consequences can spread quickly. Right now, the biggest question facing analysts and governments around the world is simple. What happens next? Will tensions escalate further? Will energy infrastructure remain a target? Or will diplomatic pressure push the region back from the edge? At the moment, no one can say for certain. But what is clear is that the global economy is deeply connected to stability in the Middle East. And when conflict touches energy infrastructure, the effects travel far beyond the battlefield. From oil markets to shipping routes, to the price you pay at the pump, the world is watching closely. Because tonight's missiles may have done more than strike a refinery. They may have struck the fragile balance of the global energy system itself, and if that balance breaks, the consequences could reach every country on Earth.